everybody. This is Patricia Jo Grover, the Goal Achievement Strategist, and welcome to the Patricia Jo Grover Show. And today with me, I have Shelly Dechant. Now, turns out 20 years she was in the military as a resource manager support clerk, was a lifetime in human resources, and so it's no wonder that, adult babysitting wasn't for her. Instead, her first virtual assisting business was born in 2008. She provided administrative, financial, and marketing services to her clients in Kingston and later in Barrie, Ontario. Due to family health needs, Shelly transitioned from a full-time VA to a more focused business relationship marketing. Understanding the importance of businesses to appreciate their network and all facets of these relationships. She has carried that philosophy through to 2020, where she now lives in Victoria, BC, Canada. So Shelly, I want to welcome her. Shelly is a relationship building boss. Welcome, Shelly.
Thank you very much. Hi, how's it going?
Great. I'm so glad you could join us.
Yes, this is great. I appreciate you asking me to be on.
Yeah. It's so cool that I am networking now with people internationally. I'm here in Maine and you're in British Columbia, Canada.
Yeah. That's the best part of the internet is the ability for us to really get to see who we're talking to. It doesn't matter where in the world we are.
Exactly. And so this is fabulous. So I asked you to share some things with me, and so from that, military, years in the military. Holy cow.
20 years in the military.
Okay, so one of the things was talking about picking yourself up and starting over. You got that down to a pat, didn't you?
I've done it a couple of times, although I think that when I came out of the military, I didn't really think of myself as starting over. I thought of myself as starting the next phase. It had been a goal of mine. When I joined the military, I had 3 goals. I think it was about 3. One was to retire at the age of 41, which I did. The other was to have my children out of the house by the age of 45. Got pretty close, but not quite. And then the third was to travel, which we started to do. So, I managed to do all of that. So I compacted 20 years into the military, and then had the luxury of a pension after that. That helped me to be able to invest in my next life. So that one I wouldn't actually say was kind of having to start over. It was a planned, very, very structured type of move for me.
So was there anything you've ever had to do that you had to start over?
Absolutely. So of course I had my virtual business, which I started up. I planned that about 6 years prior to leaving the military. I'm a bit of a planner. So, I like to have a good plan going ahead. So about 6 years prior to leaving the military, I knew my feet were giving out. I was having some medical issues, and I created a business in a box. And that was my virtual assisting business called our At Your Service Office Solutions. And about, 3 weeks before I left the military, I panicked. And at that time, I decided I need to go back to college instead of working by myself in my home. It wasn't that I didn't think I could run my own business. It was that I didn't think I could just sit here by myself in my house all by myself.
I get it. Yeah.
And so I panicked over that, and I went back to college, and I had an absolutely mind-blowing time as an adult in college. I loved every minute of it. My children were starting to go to college at the same time. I could relate to them. I could relate to the other kids in the school. It really helped me to really relate with my own children. So I loved that. But after that, I picked up my business because I realized I didn't want to babysit for a living. I didn't know that I'd been doing that for, really seriously doing that for 20 years. And then I found out that when I went and took human resource that I'd actually been doing that for 20 years. And I I was done with the babysitting. So I picked my little box in a business up and I opened my doors. And when my mother got ill, she required pretty much around the clock care in the hospital for an unexpected reaction an operation that she had. And so I put aside the virtual assisting. And in the beginning, I put it aside with the intention of coming back to it. But at the same time, I kind of had my day job and my night job. My day job was virtual assisting, and my night job was a multi-level marketing business in a company called Send Out Cards, which I'm still currently with. And I loved it so much that I never went back to the virtual assisting because that's where I learned that I could network for a living. That all I had to do, I just hang out for a living. That's
There you
that's
go.
my core job now. I hang out for a living. I have coffee with people. I look at ways that I can help them, and along the way, people I bump into are interested in trying to help increase their business referral market, and I help them with that. So that's kind of the remaking of my first. It was a bit of a shock to be dumped into a requirement to be there medically. Um, and so I did that. And I did that until, well, and I mean, I continue to do it, but I think it was about 2017. I started another business, and the company that I was with closed their doors.
Oh,
Like
wow.
and that was a business that, along with what I was currently doing, I just kind of kept on doing. And then we planned everything. I moved to Victoria. We were going to be traveling for business, probably 8 out of 12 months of the year. We were going to have locations there where we moved in, kind of like what Beverly does.
Okay, yeah.
Um, and the business just up and shut one day. And
Wow.
that was a harder, comeback. That was emotionally quite stressful because there's a lot of
Can't
things that
imagine
I'd
that.
never experienced before. I mean, you don't lose your job in the military.
Right,
Uh,
right.
Everything up to that point had always been a choice that I made. And because I was a planner, they were planned choices,
Right, right.
right? So that happened. I've been in Victoria, BC now I'm coming up onto my third year in December. And it happened about a month and a half after I arrived here.
Wow.
So yeah, it was traumatic. It was really traumatic. The sense of loss and not knowing what I was going to do and where I was going to move from there. And that I'm going to say depression, although I don't tend to have a lot of depression type, I guess, episodes. Um, Anybody would have a problem, right? And of course, there were a few of us. A lot of my team members were also in the same boat, and so we're trying to help each other out. Hey, Google, stop. We're trying to help each other out and uplift each other, but we don't know where to go,
Right,
right? We just and we don't know why we can't seem to make that move forward.
right. That
And
kind of makes you think of what's been going on with this pandemic and the position it's put so many people in. Very similar.
exactly. Exactly. Yeah. That willingness or ability to refocus, that's a mindset. And I mean, I'm actually quite lucky. as as luck has it, um, COVID actually allowed me to use the skills that I had learned on how to refocus and be okay with refocusing.
Yeah. So, what have you been doing all this time with COVID? Because we've had a lot of that refocus and downtime.
We have. So first off, for me, my companies that all provide residual income to me, those all did really well through COVID. For anybody, I don't know if you run into a lot of people who work on residual income and businesses that are run from your home. But of course, everybody was looking for what can I do? I'm going to go stark raving mad. And I also am what's called an situational extrovert.
Ooh, I
So
like that one.
yeah, I had to figure that one out because I'm definitely an introvert, but the military made me an extrovert. And so I had to figure out, well, how can I be an extrovert if I'm an introvert? Because you can't really change,
Right.
but you can adapt, right? And so I think that a lot of adaptation comes with age, and your willingness to do that. So, couple of days, I actually went closed myself in about a week or two before most people did, and I know it was well before you guys probably did,
Right. Right.
because especially in BC, they shut down very quickly. Um, and I was ill just before that, and people were already starting to talk about, you know, if you're coughing or you got the sniffles and stuff, and it was becoming a thing, and we didn't know what it was going to be. But I'm that type of person who will always try to think of other people. So I decided, okay, I'm not going out of the house. Too many people are going to be freaking out because I have a cold, and it
Right.
was just a cold. So I've been down now probably 6 weeks. 16 weeks in comparison to other people who've been down for anywhere between 12 and 14, right?
Right.
Um, but because I'm a networker, right, all of a sudden I'm sitting here going, I need to be able to network. That is my primary passion. And how do I do that if I'm going to be in my house all of the time? And so I looked at all the normal stuff. I mean, we're obviously communicating through Zoom, and Zoom has a place. But as that situational extrovert, I'm looking for how do I be in the same room with other people
Right.
at a time when you can't do that. And that was when I was introduced to immersive virtual reality. And I think the word immersive is the important part in what everybody thinks of as virtual reality, because they think of this as being part kind of virtual reality, right?
Right. Right.
Um, yeah, I mean, you sign up for an event because there's all kinds of events
And they're
online now,
calling them virtual
and
events.
they're
Right.
calling them virtual, but really it's this form, or you're texting, you receive a link and you go and you have a personal Zoom with the person,
Right.
that type of a situation. But what I was introduced to was an immersive virtual reality where we actually go inside of a platform in a avatar form. So yes, I did have to get used to the idea that I wasn't going to be necessarily myself. But I was able to make an avatar that looks kind of like me when I was younger and a little lighter. The upside is I'm a skinny person in virtual reality, and I like it. I'm kind of hoping mentally it's going to just make me skinnier. Um, but what I found in there after I was introduced to it was a complete world that my children have been in forever, right? You know,
Right.
I can even remember being upset with them all the time because all they ever did was be in games and interacting with people in the games. So we went into something called Sansar, and we are in the middle of creating a business world within Sansar. And it's been phenomenal, not just from a business standpoint and my ability to get to meet people like yourself, um, but also from a relaxation standpoint. So it hasn't just been this 15 weeks hasn't just been about me finding something to do with my day. It's how do I feel like I'm still part of a community? And, you know, normally you get to go out, you get to go to a bar, you get to go to a movie with your friends or to a restaurant. And all of those things, they're just not
Right.
available. So instead, in the evening, I go into the platform and sometimes we meet at a movie theater and we watch a movie together. Sometimes we meet around a fire. Sometimes we'll go and play horseshoes. I'm getting pretty good at that.
I'm going to have to give that a try.
Yeah, you can go
Yeah.
into my world and do that at any time, right? It's a lot of fun. Um, Ironically, I hadn't played horseshoes in forever, but because I was playing it on Sansar, I went to my father's place when we started to open our bubble up. So this was about 2 weeks ago, and we actually played horseshoes because I've refound that passion
Right.
to it. So we had a lot of fun there, and we actually beat them. So I obviously got some skill
Practice,
while I
practice.
was in Sansar. Exactly.
Cool.
Um, so that's kind of where I've spent the last 11 weeks, is immersing myself in how to provide from a business standpoint, from a gathering and tribal networking standpoint. How do we provide that when we don't have the ability to leave our home, or when we don't want to? Because that's probably the number one from a business, standpoint. People are saying, well, wait, you want me to drive to work now? Like, I've been doing it for 16 weeks all by myself at home. Why can't I continue to do that? And there's a lot of companies that have actually switched over. I know my sister's company has actually done that, which is ironic since they are a building management company, right?
Right.
They've saved money by not having their people at work, but they are also having a problem because they're being hit by other companies who aren't sending their people back to work, and they manage
Right.
buildings, right? So, there's this thing that's happening now that's changing the way we do stuff. And I really feel that the virtual reality has its place and it's arrived.
It has. It
It
has.
has. Yeah.
So
And
so actually, Shelley, this is how you and I met,
it
is
is.
what you were just
It
talking
is.
about. And I have to say the timing with everything related to the pandemic has been fantastic in for me, for the fact of trying to have exposure to people when you couldn't go out and talk on stages. All the events for speakers had been canceled, the facilities were closed down, you didn't
Yeah.
want to be, not traveling on airplanes and so on and so forth. So this has given me the exposure with the virtual events with DBI, the Digital Business International, that we're both involved with, is
Yeah.
that the events, the expo center, being able to have a booth and have people attend and have meeting people internationally from all over the world, and being
Yeah.
able
We've
to
had people from South Africa and
exactly,
England
and
and
right, and speaking on a virtual stage to people just like you and I are here. So if I were on the stage, you're sitting in the chair in front of me, and so are other people in their avatar form, but they're there. They're there just as much as
yeah.
you are here with me right now.
And it doesn't take you very long in that avatar form. I was a little resistant to start off, right? Resistance gets overcome when choices become limited,
Exactly,
right?
exactly. And when
Um,
you can put that voice with that body, and it's your voice. You're as
exactly.
the avatar,
Yeah.
your lips are moving just like they are here.
I mean,
So,
how many, even yesterday, we bumped into each other in Sanzar, right?
right,
And I knew exactly who it was.
right.
I don't feel like it's a separation of who you are. It's
Exactly.
it's just who you are. I actually met you in avatar form before I actually saw your beautiful face, right? And so it's an interesting dynamic. And the one thing that I noticed, I think I was about 2 weeks in when I was having a conversation with Robert, who's the owner of DBI, and I accidentally bumped my keyboard and I turned my back on him, my avatar. And I apologized, right? And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do that. And he started laughing. He's like,
Right,
you realize you just apologized for an avatar turning its back on another avatar. He
right.
said, that is when you know you've been immersed.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And that is so so true, because you're having we that focus that you're paying attention to, you get, even though you know that's your avatar in there, but what you're seeing and who you're talking to, you want to turn to have a conversation with that person. And
Exactly,
so
right?
it is amazing.
Like, you don't stand there with your back to somebody. You always turn yourself, because those are the things that we know to be important in building a relationship. You know, look at somebody, make eye contact, all that kind of stuff. And because the avatar actually has facial expressions.
Right.
You tend to watch what they're saying because you can see their facial expressions changing, and it is quite cute.
Yeah, it is. It's fantastic. And then again, with that for the networking, and like you said, being the relationship building boss, and I've become involved with DBI, working the networking piece of it, and really trying to bring everybody together, since this is all new and this is
Yeah,
new to people,
exactly. Yeah.
to get them to network inside Sansar in avatar form, but they have to make the connection that this is real. It's just
Exactly.
the same thing as if we're doing it outside
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
virtual world, just like you and I are here.
And I think that's part of the reason why I tend to make my world. So I'm what's called a world builder or an environment builder, right? So I illustrate an environment in 3D form, and my stuff all pretty much looks like a business. So you can go to my boardroom, you can go to my stage where you would have people come in, and it's very warm and inviting and kind of my representation of what I would expect out here in the real world. Right?
Right.
And I actually had to step outside of it a little bit and try some of the more outlandish, for me, outlandish, right? I was actually given the task of going and building a space world with no direction other than I want you to build something in space. And that was an experience for me because that was so far outside of the norm, right?
That's
So
mind expansion. I mean, that's future forward
exactly.
thinking, though.
Yeah,
Everything with DBI, Digital Business International, is all forward thinking when it comes to business and
absolutely.
the ways for us to grow. So
Yeah.
I'm excited
I
about
think
that.
we call this early adoption. So we're
Yeah,
early adopters. But the interesting thing, and maybe for all of our guests to know, is you may all be experiencing early adoption very soon because Facebook is coming out with a platform, which DBI will become part of, that is called Horizon. And so if any of you over the last month and a half, all of a sudden got started seeing people creating avatars, those cute little avatars that everybody was creating on Facebook recently. That's all to get ready for the immersion into Horizon. And because I love technology and I am kind of at the front of the pack when it comes to new early adoption, I don't see us sitting there posting what we ate for the day or a little picture of how we're feeling that day. I think that in the next few months, the only thing that slowed it down is COVID. It's coming, but in the next few months, I'm going to be walking up to Patty's door in Horizon and knocking on the door and saying, "Hey, Patty, want to come out and play? I need to go and get a new haircut. Why don't we go over to the hair salon and we can take a look at some different styles? Maybe we can stop and have a coffee or whatever." And so now that interaction, can I get a haircut in Horizon? No, but I certainly can enjoy the experience of going and taking a look at different stuff. And there will be the ability to put new hair on and try it all out and have a good time with my friends.
yeah, it
And
is.
that is going to overtake the whole texting and writing everything down. I truly believe that that is not only coming, but it is coming quickly.
Right, and all the social
Um,
interaction, and also again bringing the reality that we have, our daily everyday reality, okay,
yeah,
into how we do business virtually, is going
yeah,
to be, this is it, it's
yeah,
combining. So just like I've been talking to you, Shelly, about creating my helping, because you are a builder, so
yeah.
I'd like to have you help me build my world here
Build that exactly.
inside, so when people come to visit me in my office, in avatar form, we can sit on the couch and chat,
Exactly.
and
That's
that
right.
brings it all together. Now the cool thing to me is different speakers we've had at some of the different expos that we've done have
Mhm.
gotten on stage, and these are people that have done and been involved in the studies of
Yeah.
how virtual reality They've done tests with people to help in like
Phobias.
right, and
Yeah.
with people that have anxiety or PTSD, they
Yeah.
use this as part of their therapy.
Well,
And
when you think about it, just the fact that you can have an avatar and say you have a fear of speaking in front of a crowd, you can go and stand up on that stage and feel like you're disconnected enough that you have the confidence to be up on that stage.
right,
And
right,
maybe you're up on that stage the first time, you don't even have anybody in the room, you know,
right.
and then you just start adding people. But that bit of a mask
Hmm.
really helps in a lot of cases,
Right,
right?
right. And I can totally see that and understand that. And it could be for many different reasons. Somebody like, oh, we've been talking recently, the conversations that we've been having about trying to get the virtual education, because we have the DBU, which is the digital university,
That's correct. The
and
Digital
having
Business
that,
University.
tie in with maybe get with homeschooling or with public education, because
Well,
some
I
kids
know,
are not being able
yeah,
to go back to school.
exactly. And you and I have talked extensively at this point, I would say, about, I had a child who did not excel in school. He was extremely bright, but had communication problems. He's like 32 now, right? And
Right,
he has learned to adjust, and he's never going to be the chattiest person, but he has grown through it. But as a child in school, it was very difficult for him to stay in school. Just and he is it mildly, so I can't imagine parents who've got children who are not fitting in, and having no alternatives for them, and making them feel worse and worse, and bad about themselves.
right, right,
And just that mask, just that avatar form, being in virtual reality and getting educated in there, because we know that it's possible,
right. And
and we know that it expands on so many levels.
r-
And now a child doesn't have to try and conform.
right,
It can be made to fit those children that they're, in reality, I probably wasn't a very good conformer in school myself. I'm pretty sure, actually, I know for a fact that on almost all of my report cards, it said, if Shelley just applied herself, right? Like, if she didn't just stare out the window, right? Like,
right.
things that they used to say to us at our age, now they have names for them all.
Well, I
Attention
had a
deficit.
teacher that I was a talker. I would talk and turn around and talk. And I had a teacher that would chuck a chalkboard eraser at the back of my head, and he was a good aim. I'd get hit in the head with a chalkboard eraser from 40 feet away.
Yeah,
Um,
we had boxes. We had a teacher who brought moving boxes in and cut them up and stuck them on the chair. And there were like five of us. And we had to sit in our little desk with the
so it
little
was a
box
cubicle.
to keep us focused, right? Nothing like giving some anxiety, right? We're the
Yeah,
box kids, right?
yeah. Oh, goodness.
So yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, from an education standpoint, the mind is literally the limit.
right.
And the options are they're just wild.
Yeah. You know,
And the immersiveness every day, and I think you can also attest to this, you just realize how much you feel like you're immersed. I was having a conversation with my sister and she was sitting outside in Ontario where it's nice and warm, and we were having a conversation, and all of a sudden this bird landed in a tree really close to where she was sitting, and it was just getting louder and louder and louder. And I cannot tell a lie, because I will out myself every time. My first reaction was to say to her, Tina, can't you turn the volume down in your world? Like, do we have to listen to that bird? It's driving me nuts. And she just starts laughing at me, right? Because I had completely mixed my two worlds up.
right.
And it didn't even cross my mind. Like, I just couldn't figure out why we were having to talk over this bird when all she had to do was turn the world volume down.
Yeah.
And this
I,
is in the real world, right?
right.
So
and again, that's where things cross over.
They
So,
do.
in this what we're talking about, there are the business opportunities, though, at this point in time,
There
somebody
are.
can really come in and do. And networking, I'm finding it tremendously helpful because I am making connections. And I mean, I was on and doing a recording for my show with somebody from Australia this morning, and
Fantastic.
again, knowing somebody and working with somebody in South Africa, it is amazing,
It is. It is.
the
And I think
exposure.
that we also have gotten a little bit, all of us are maybe getting a little zoomed out.
Right. And this
And
gives you a way to network, do business, and
be
social.
with them,
Right.
with them,
With them.
present.
Exactly. Like you
I've
said
even
about
noticed
watching the
my,
movies.
yeah, I've even noticed myself on a Zoom yesterday. I just put my picture up and I found myself doing other work instead of really focusing on the networking that was going on, which I swore when I started to see that happening, probably about, I'm going to say 7 weeks ago, really everybody was pretty much zoomed out. I was like, oh, that is so rude. I can't believe they would do that. And there I was. And I was like, I can't believe I'm on another Zoom.
But
Right.
something that reminds me of, because towards the end of the school year, my grandson was over at our place with us for a little bit, because mother and father were trying to work and everything, but
Mhm.
he was still trying to go to school via Zoom. Well, the kids were having a hard time with that because they were seeing their picture there of themselves. So they were looking up each other's noses and getting right up in the camera. You know what I mean? And that they had more fun with that, but they weren't paying attention to anything else that was going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas if they were in there in the avatar form, this interaction there, if and being able to, I mean, there's the soccer fields in there. Kids can play soccer, and kids are
Yeah.
used to those video games.
Their homework could actually be building a world that represents maybe a historical moment in time,
Right,
which we know that one of our collective people are really building the education side out,
right.
and so I mean they have something to do,
Yes.
something to actually do than just stare at a screen and write on a piece of paper.
Right.
And
And
you have
what's
to take it.
available for tours that they can go on, like going on a class trip to go
Yeah, yeah,
explore space. It's
yeah, yeah.
phenomenal. It's just
See how a
amazing.
DNA is made,
Yeah.
or the science behind something, or they've built a world and now they get to go and show it off. I mean, how much better is that than show and tell?
I mean, right. And this is going to be a phenomenal opportunity for the kids in the STEM program
Yes.
and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's so cool. So
So yeah,
Shelley,
whether it's business or education, I think that we've definitely hit on something.
exactly.
And
So
yeah, we're quite
what do
excited.
you see as your future with your new business? So tell us a little bit about your new business
So
and
my
your
new
future you
business
see.
it's a virtual assisting business. So I, picked the box back up and I've opened it up under a name with a partner of mine who we both know, Thomas. I think he was on your show already.
Yep.
And we have named the company Hello VR Plus. Hello being the way that I like to, connect with anybody, that networking kind of concept. And we're providing services to DBI. So we're going to be our one of our primary focuses is the university. So we will be in avatar form inside the university, available to anybody who comes in and wants to either do a class where they want to, be, maybe they have a class that's online, but they're feeling like they're not getting that cohesiveness, and so they want to be again in front of somebody teaching the class. They can bring their whole class inside of the DBU and do it there. Of course, there's going to be students that are coming in there, and there'll be business people that are also. There's whole industries that are looking for alternatives.
Oh, yes.
So the DBU is really going to start ramping up here, and then I also do the administrative side of the DBU, and all of that gets done through virtual assisting. Because we're all part of a collective, we provide these services. We have these services available to everybody within the collective if they require them. for however it happens to be. So, of course, networking is my passion. It's going to always be one of my main focuses. Um, I believe that you should be sending cards. I believe that it is not a lost art, but a resurgence
Right.
of an art that is, again, creating that connection that we have lost as computers and the internet have come along. Um, and the fact that you can go to your mailbox and see that somebody spent the time and appreciated you
Right.
enough to send you something in the mail, it provides an intrinsic kick to me. I get a kick
Right.
out of making the cards. And so I'm offering that out to people. My business partner, Thomas, he'll do all of the bookkeeping and the accounting side of it because that is his trade. I'll be doing human resource for people who need to find either employees or subcontractors because of, again, I've kind of got that background and there's some
Right.
enjoyment. I get that interaction with people. So it's in a developmental, we're developing it. It's a living, breathing document. We don't only have a website, but again, with my belief that virtual reality is coming, um, we have not only a what I call a 2D website, which is what everybody's used to. You click on a button, it takes you to some other place. But you can actually go inside our website because it's a 3D website, and you walk into the room and you can pick what you need and have interactions with us about what you're looking for immersively. So we have a hub. It's called Hello VR Plus Hub,
It's so
and
exciting.
you can rent rooms from us. So if you want to have a boardroom and you want to have your team members, because they may be spread all over the world, of course,
Exactly.
or down the street and you can't get to them because you're not able to do that. I know there's still a lot of places that are, reclosing, unfortunately.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
we're going to be renting space out. It'll be virtual space, so it's at a way better price um, than an actual brick and mortar spot. But we're having a lot of fun with it, and it's kind of, there's something warm and fuzzy about being back into the virtual assisting space.
Right.
I feel that comforting, motherly, you know,
Oh,
bringing
again, it's
everything
something
together and being able to
and
provide.
you know it oh so well, but
Yeah,
then with your technical side of it, to be able to back that up and help people that are new to it, so
yeah,
it's a
yeah,
win-win combination there.
yeah. I have a natural inclination to learn how to use programs, and I've been techie since my first computer was. I purchased my first computer in 1986. My choice was a computer or a set of Encyclopedia Britannica for my son, who I just had. And I thought, okay, well, do I put my money into an encyclopedia set that he can use when he goes to university? Or I could buy a computer and he can use that computer for the university. Of course, I think it had 64 megs of RAM and no hard drive and a phone modem you had to hook up to.
Okay, there you
But I
go.
like technology. So I do a lot of work with people who reach out and say, I'm looking for this type of tech product. Do you know anything about that? So I have a lot of referrals and I do a lot of learning because I would be
Yep.
considered the first vlogger. So when I used to have to hook my phone up to the modem and wait for the program to download. It would take like 3 to 4 hours to download a program onto my computer. And then I would learn how to use this very basic DOS program. And then I would give feedback and they would send me free stuff.
There you go.
That's an
Cool.
influencer,
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
vlogger, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I would be considered one of the first vloggers. So I
Uh,
still get enjoyment out of that. So a shout out for anybody who's looking for, programs or apps that they can use to help in their business because I
well,
really
you've
do
been a great
focus.
reference to me, and
Yeah,
yes, and
thank
I will
you.
continue,
I'm
and I
glad.
will pass people,
I'm glad.
through
Yeah.
to you because oh,
I think that business to business trading of information and referrals, that's where we need to be for small business because we can't afford to play with the big boys doing marketing and stuff in
Right.
that aspect.
And
So we
so many
have to look
people more
for
now than ever are solopreneurs, and we're having to
exactly.
hire VAs.
That's right.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And when you realize, we do tend to stumble along working with programs that we're not necessarily proficient in, and there's a time waste there. So I'll sit down with somebody and we'll take a look at, what they currently do. But the interesting thing is we look at what they currently do, we look at what they enjoy doing, and we look at what they hate to do, but they have to do anyways. Because we all, when we have a business, we take on all of those hats. And some of them we like to do more than others. And some of them we'd like to give up, but we can't because maybe we're the face of the company, right?
Exactly.
And I can't necessarily take that from you. And I'm probably going to push for you to keep that, right? Like a perfect example would be you saying, you know what, Shelly, do you think you could do my Zooms for me? Can you, could you be that person?
Right.
And I'm going to say, no, I can't be you.
Right.
Right. There's other things that you might actually enjoy doing that you're going to end up wanting to give up so that you can increase your profit margin because you have time available
Right.
for you to do those money making activities.
Right.
So,
Right.
I can be a hard taskmaster, but I think that it's important that you know the whole thing. And then you can say, no, you know what? I'm not, if you're not going to cover my show from now on, I'm going to shut my show down. Then we're going to have a conversation and I might actually be doing your show for you.
No, but what I teach people is the importance of when it comes to getting everything to be able to get it into your schedule.
Exactly.
You have to prioritize, and then you have to sequence. So what I mean by prioritize is your A, B, C, D, E.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. A, absolutely has to get done. B,
yep.
You want to get done. C, well, you don't, it's one of those things. D is delegate. And
Exactly.
E is
Exactly.
eliminate.
And, even if you do have to give something up that you enjoy, right? Something that you're doing that you enjoy, it doesn't mean you have to give it up forever.
Right.
But if you're, especially, I find that what happens is people are usually at a tipping point when they start talking to a virtual assistant. They're at that stage where they're saying, I do not have enough day in my day, right? There just aren't enough hours. And unfortunately, we're all stuck with the same number of hours. It's the great equalizer.
Right.
So it's either money or it's hours. And people tend to kind of think it's just black and white. You either pay for it or you have the hours to do it. But the reality is sometimes if you pay for it, you now make more money because you have the hours to do those money making activities.
Exactly.
Right? And when you take a look at how much you charge an hour, and if you can find somebody who can do that at a more affordable rate because they can get it done faster, therefore they can, then you are making more money instead of spending, I don't know, we're going to go with $50 an hour, figuring out how to use a program.
Right.
Right? It's just taking you
to give it to somebody that already does know how.
Yeah, yep. Exactly. So I kind of do a lot of teaching like that.
And also I talk to people and teach them the importance of having budgets that you're working with when you're trying to reach any goal. Yeah. You have your time, your budget of your time, mm-hmm. the budget of your money to keep track of where you are money wise, how much you're going to, plan to. Mm-hmm. And so your time, your money, and your energy, because some things just take so much out of you.
And I would say your dreams and goals too, because mm-hmm. if you're not focusing on those dreams and goals, you're never going to find the money for them.
Right.
Right. So what happens when you become passionate about something is it's surprising where you find the money.
Exactly.
And then, of course, taking a look at where you can shave it off from somewhere else.
Exactly.
So a lot of my products, and the reason why I choose to share these products with my business peeps is they all have the ability for a person to get their marketing, whether it's in person, whether it's social media marketing, whatever it happens to be, you can actually use this product and have it pay for itself. And so, short term, what are you giving up?
Right.
Give up a little bit of this, add a little bit of this, and now your product is actually paying for itself.
Right.
And you get the complete access to it. So that's one of the really wonderful things about a lot of the products that are on the market today.
Right. And when you are so familiar with them, it's good for you that you've chosen the ones that are those the word I can't think of the word I want to use, but the ones that are going to be the most beneficial to the entrepreneur that you're serving. So like you said, like your send out cards, that makes
Sure.
sense as that for the fact that it's taking that off the plate of the person. They don't need to worry about that themselves. If you
And there's a cost to that. I mean,
Right.
certainly for a solopreneur, it's the time, right? You got to
Right.
go to the store, you got to find some cards, you got to write in the cards, you got to put them in an envelope, you got to put a stamp, and you got to take them back to the mailbox.
Right. But
This is an app on the phone. You design the card, you press the send button, they do it all for you, and
right,
it shows up.
but the payoff, on the other hand, is so much higher because
It's so much
Right.
higher. It's unbelievably. I have one story that I will tell about send out cards in general. Because I built a team in Barrie, and we were all networking in the same area, I stepped back from sharing send out cards so that my team members would feel comfortable in the networking environment. They knew those people to be able to start working in this area and feel comfortable in that. And one of the networking event people knew what I did. I had never talked to her about send out cards. I'd never suggested it to her. And ironically, none of my people had introduced it to her. One day she's on Facebook. I love Facebook. I take pictures off of Facebook and send them in cards all of the time. She's posting about this. She's got this dog. She got a dog that was rehomed to her. He'd been abused, and she was having a birthday party for him. And I know she loves her dogs. I mean, I knew this prior to it, but I really knew she loved her dogs because she had a dog cake. She had a human cake. She had dog guests. She had human guests. Everybody came to the party, and she put all these pictures on Facebook. And I'm like, oh my God, I have a belief that those pictures one day are all just going to disappear. And we've been throwing them all on Facebook with the belief that they'll be there forever. Right. So I make up this card with just pictures of everything that had happened during the day. And then on the inside of the card, I put, Dear Mom, I just wanted to thank you so much for letting me come and live with you. You've given me the best life. Thank you for all of my friends and my birthday cake. And then I put little paw prints, right? And I didn't sign this card. I didn't. What I do when I send out a pet card, which I do enjoy doing, I usually put the dog's name and mailing address on the outside of the envelope. But I must have gotten distracted by something in the day. So I forgot to change the mailing address. So now it's, a few days later, and my friend goes to the mailbox. My networking friend goes to the mailbox. And so this is an example of how junk mail just goes in the garbage, but cards get opened 100% of the time. So she goes into her mail and she sees this card, and she says to me, the first thing I saw was, oh, it's a card from Shelley. She's going to try and talk me into send out cards. Right. And she opened it anyways.
Yeah. There you go.
Because it was closed. It was sealed. Right. Even though her brain was telling her, oh, she's marketing to me. She's going to try and talk me into send out cards. And then she opened it up and she's walking back to her house, and she gets in front of the driveway and she sees the dog in the window, and I get a phone call.
That would be me.
We're gonna have to talk. Yeah. And she bought like 2 of everything for 2 completely different businesses. I only ever sell one, but I never marketed to her.
Right.
What I showed her was an appreciation for her animal and for her love of her animal.
Right.
And it's about touching a person. And that's just one story. And yes, I'm good at it. I've been at it for a while. But everybody can do it.
Right.
And it doesn't take a lot. When I was out in the world, I would have a meeting with somebody. I would sit in my car. I would open up the app. In a minute and a half, I'd have my thank you for meeting me card sent. And I'd go about my business. So I didn't even have to do it at the end of the day. That doesn't mean there aren't card things that can be done.
Right.
It can be more than just doing that. But if that is all you can do, that is still a phenomenal thing
Right.
to have gotten accomplished.
Yeah, and that
Like
is, and how that can touch somebody. Somebody could have had a horrible day, but got their thank you from you, and that.
I sent a card out of a picture that a friend of mine posted on Facebook of her and her father looking out over a field. And she had posted that this was her and her father's land. And I just thought it was a beautiful picture. And so I put it in the card and said memories and whatever year it was. And she called me and I actually was quite upset because she was so upset that this had come days after her father had died.
Oh,
Just a few days after her father had died. And now she has this memory.
right,
And we don't know. I mean, I was just upset because I had no idea the
right.
impact. That was, those two are
But
probably two of my most
yeah, but
favorite,
the timing of
you know,
that is
you don't know.
right,
You don't know in what state a person is. And I remember hearing this phenomenon when I first started sending cards. This phenomenon that you'd be surprised that when a card is received, that it really can uplift to somebody from a bad day. And then all of a sudden I start to have that happen to cards that I'm sending. And I think what I realized is the phenomenon is that a lot of us have negative attitudes of our day. Like you come home at night. My husband comes home at night. How was your day? Oh, it was really busy, right? It's not, oh my God, I had a great day, right? So we internalize so much of the pain of what's going on in our day that a card, I'm gonna say, I don't know, I'm making it up, but like 96% of the time is going to help them just by
right,
receiving it.
right,
As long as you're not marketing to them, don't take the opportunity to send a birthday card because you can put a 10% discount in there. That's not a
right,
gift.
right,
That's a marketing ploy, right?
right.
So if I can give anybody a tip who sends cards,
Don't, yeah,
don't send a birthday card and give them a gift of something that you sell because that is you saying, oh my God, it's somebody's birthday. Maybe they'll buy something from me.
right,
That's not a birthday wish,
right,
right? If I wanted to send out a card to somebody tomorrow, I might say, hey, Patty, do you happen to have something that you could gift this person? Not only does that mean that I'm now giving them something that, they may not have ever heard of before,
right,
right? I always make sure it's completely free, whatever it happens
right,
to be. But I also created that connection now
right.
between you and my network. I'm bringing you into my network. So there's a lot of things that can be done that way.
Yeah.
That still create that
Right. So
connection.
many wonderful things. I mean, so the bringing back the old with getting back to, that personal connection that has been missing in business and personal life.
And we're definitely feeling it now.
Right.
Right?
Right.
We don't feel connected. How many
Exactly.
times have you opened your bubble at all? Like,
Yeah.
do you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but
So
not
are
not a
you
lot.
hugging people
No. No.
other than my
Other than
father and
my
my
other than my
stepmother
yeah.
and my husband? Right? And it's weird for me. I mean, when I left the military, I wasn't a huggy person in the military. I don't even get to hold my husband's hand, right? But I learned to be a huggy person really quickly. And when we leave from finally getting to meet with people we haven't seen in a really long time, that is probably the most starkest difference
Yeah.
in my mind. I feel like we're missing something. Like I'm walking away, but the conversation hasn't ended, or it's weird. I don't
Right.
know if anybody else is
Yeah,
feeling it,
we're
but
our family, we're all huggers. Our family is. So, and I don't, again, we don't get to see everybody as much, and when we do, we, of course, we hug our family members when we see
mm,
them. But anybody else, friends and stuff, we're still not hugging, simply
no, no.
because, it's just for respect and safety of everybody's space.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. So I send out hugs in a card now a lot. And I also send out little games in the card too, because people are bored. Right?
There you
So
go.
it's a lot
Wonderful.
you can do, you know. And
Yeah.
of course, we could go on forever because I am passionate about what I do.
Right. Yeah, and I'm so thankful, and I feel so blessed that I got to meet you, Shelly, because you are a phenomenal person. And just, your knowledge of where I'm learning. I've called
Oh,
myself
you and I are very much in line. Don't you let
yeah,
anybody know any
right,
different.
but I consider myself technically challenged. I'm not
Oh.
saying I can't learn.
Mhm.
I have learned, but that's the thing. It's not that I was afraid to learn. It's just it just wasn't. It's not in my lane.
The frustration level, I couldn't even figure out how to use Pac-Man, right? All of my technology is always based around business. It has been my entire life. If it's business related, I will move through the frustration to become proficient at it. And probably because I don't find a lot of frustration in it.
Right.
I couldn't figure out Pac-Man. When I first got into Sanzar, they used to have a questing system. You had to do all of these little tests in a gaming environment. And of course, I already had this, oh my God, really? I got to do a game? I'm not here to do a game. I'm not here to play. I'm here to do business. Right.
Right.
And I had to, and I'm going to not swear because I had to get this fish in a bucket
Oh.
and like an hour and a half.
Oh
I couldn't
wow.
get the fish in a bucket.
Yep.
So, we do a lot of training with people who want to attempt to come into Sansar, who
Right.
want to see what it's like. And so we're doing that training. I know how frustrating it
Right.
was for me. I looked like a drunk person wandering around. I
Right.
couldn't get through a door to save my life.
I'm doing pretty good. I have to admit that, but I'm
Mhm.
still on my permit driving my avatar around.
Some people come in and they have no problem at all.
Right.
My sister came in and she just blew right through it. Some of us,
Yeah.
there's a little bit of learning,
There,
but in that learning, we get to learn with friends.
right. And it's empowering too. Once you
Yeah.
say, "Hey, I'm in here booking it around."
And it's an immersive experience. So you find somebody like we went and I found Thomas. He took me around the track at the university and I learned how to run around the track and we got to sit and chat and laugh.
Yeah.
And I was able to express my frustration and
Yeah.
all of those things. So we're enjoying being there. We have set things up to mitigate those to the best of our knowledge. We're there to physically help somebody, so
Right.
that frustration that comes from technology is lowered just because you're getting to spend time with somebody doing it.
Yeah.
And then one day, not very long, I'm going to say 2 weeks into it, I remember the moment. I can't tell you the exact time, but I remember the moment when all of a sudden I went, "Oh my God, I'm moving around. I'm not running anything. I got up the stairs. Look at that."
Yeah. There you go.
So please, for anybody who's, thinks anything that we're talking about, um, wants to take a look, get a hold of
Right.
Patty.
Yeah.
She will.
Comment below, folks, and
Yeah,
we'll get back to you with anything that we can help you with, anything that we were just talking about. Whether it
absolutely. Yeah.
be
Yeah.
Shelly with her cards, with her VA stuff, with
Oh,
you know,
you know, come on in. We'll
yeah,
we'll we'll have plenty of time to talk about what I do,
you
right?
know,
But let's find out whether or not you enjoy it, whether or not what you need,
yeah,
If you are struggling in your business and you just want somebody to talk with, I love the brainstorming, and Patty and I have done it and we're both really enjoy that aspect of it. So there's plenty of people here for you to reach out to.
true. And
And
then I'm really
I would be
working
blessed.
on growing the whole networking aspect
Yeah.
and teaching people how to in the virtual world to know, like, and trust each other and each other's business so that they can confidently recommend them to somebody even outside of the virtual world internationally. And
Yeah.
What's not cool about that? We can all use to grow our businesses at this point
Mhm.
in time, and any
And of course, we
exposure.
are always looking for people who want to collaborate.
Hmm.
People who think this would be a great place for them to be. They can come in as an ambassador, they can come in and have their own networking group. Um, you don't have to do it by yourself because we work together to do that. You can start off by joining Patty's networking group
Yeah.
and then decide whether or not you like it and pick up your own networking group, right?
Exactly.
So
I
we're
encourage
hoping
it.
to
I
have
encourage it.
yeah, we're hoping to have networking all around the world. We're hoping that our event at some time, hopefully in the near future, will be open
Right. You
all
know,
around the world and your time zone specifically. Right now, we're all cramming into Eastern Standard Time.
right, right.
Are you on Eastern Standard Time?
I am. I am. Yeah.
I'm on Pacific Time. So
Right.
although I call myself a level 2 time change person. I still have to really think about it. It's not coming naturally. Naturally would be like tying your shoe. That's level 1. I'm away from it. I know I even called you going, oh my God, I think I missed it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and
But
then for me, working with so many different people in different time zones right now, that's been crazy for me.
yeah,
But hey, I'm making it work. Making it work.
yeah, we're
So
all we're all just struggling to find a place that makes us feel like we have a tribe, that we
exactly.
feel connected to them, that we can offer them help, that something that you want to offer out there as help.
Right.
So I think that when you're talking about building that tribe, it makes us stronger.
Exactly.
Mm.
Well, I'm so glad that I had you on today,
It's
Shelly.
been phenomenal.
So, do you have anything special you want to offer our viewers?
Well, we have been talking about send out cards. It is one of the of a multitude of tools that I have, but I did think that I would offer everybody the ability to send a card free on me. So I'll pay for your card, your stamp. You can design the card however you'd like. It's a card catalog, so it's like walking into Walmart, except for there's thousands upon thousands more. You can personalize the card. You can see how it's all done because I've created a page so that you can go in there and watch the video and see if it's you know something that you want to do. And the first card's free on me. So I will post that below in a link. You
Yes.
can go in there, put your information in there. I will say that if you put your mailing address in there, then not only do you get to feel the love of sending a card yourself, but you'll also feel the love of receiving a card because I will send you one.
Oh, so sweet.
So
Thank
so I
you.
offer you, Patty, to
Yes.
also fill it out so that I can send you a thank you card because you were so lovely to have me come on here. This has
Oh,
been lovely.
that sounds so wonderful.
Thank you.
And thank you everybody for joining me for this episode of the Patricia Jo Grover Show, where we turn believers into achievers. And so I have special gifts for people. There's a little video that's going to play as soon as we leave here, but thanks for joining me, and I will see you next time.
Hope to see you in VR. Have a great day.